You focus on operations. What do you think, in addition to what you've just said, are the main contributors when it comes to, I guess, pertaining relatively well among your peers in an environment that remains challenging to say the least? Hey everyone, thanks for checking into our latest Trade to Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Deals. Busy week to say the least, pertaining to earnings season. We've looked at a lot of companies, we looked at outliers, a lot of stuff coming in line. But a big winner, I think, from this earnings report has been TerrAscend, and why not? The momentum that they've been building. So we want to learn more about the latest earnings. Why not bring in no better person than the CEO of TerrAscend, which trades on the TSX. It's great to say that. TSND. Ziad Ghanem, good to see you, sir. And how's things, I guess, on the business front? Because it's been a good week, I think, for you guys.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. It's been a busy week, but it's been a humbling week and a great week as well. I'm so proud
I
of
bet.
the team, what they have accomplished during the quarter. I said on the call yesterday, I've been part and I've witnessed extremely efficient,
Yeah.
busy, productive, and successful quarters. I can tell you with a lot of humility that will rank on top as far as one of the most successful quarters. You think of our uplisting on the TSX, the acquisitions that we've done in Maryland as the state launched recreational,
Yeah.
the pay down of our debt, some of the partnerships, the execution in the field. So I couldn't be any prouder of the team.
What's the feedback been like so far that you've heard from, like, analysts based on yesterday's earnings, and maybe share some of the sentiment that is, I guess, being spoken amongst the company right now?
Yeah, Shad, it's a great question. We said we have a straightforward story. It's a complex industry. It's a sector that is going through a lot, but our story is pretty clear and it's
Yep.
pretty straightforward. Last week we pre-announced our earnings, and we put guidance for the remaining of the year.
Smart move.
And we said, hey, look, here's our revenue. We're going to at least generate 305 million revenue, and we are going to at least generate 58 million in EBITDA. As we look our confidence, we are more stubborn about with our confidence about the numbers. We shared yesterday that our gross margin has improved to exceed 50%.
Yeah.
We said for the remaining of the year, we will be in that 50% area. It's a comfortable place. Also committed that we have a solid plan to finish Q4 with an OPEX of 30% to revenue. So you add those together, and you will see that the second half of the year, we will be generating free cash flow, and that is after paying our taxes and our interest. So it's a great place to be in, and we're seeing the growth coming organically. On the side, to complement that growth, we have exciting opportunities for M&A that we will address accordingly.
You see, Anthony, there are good stories in the cannabis space, right?
No, I mean, I was gonna say, congrats on the quarter. I mean, to be honest, it's probably one of the most exciting names in the space right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been following it for some time. I'm a shareholder, and I mean, I'm excited for where you guys are and where you're going. I mean, one question that I had. I mean, I know you had, I think you were at 15 years at Walgreens in some pretty high level roles, and I mean, I think the proof is starting to show in your operations, your operational expertise you're deploying into TerrAscend. I mean, how does that translate into the cannabis industry, and how are you leveraging that to ultimately drive TerrAscend forward?
Yeah, yeah, it was a quick 17 years as the first half of the career. When I considered cannabis and when I moved to cannabis, the decision was easy for uh, two reasons. The first reason is the patient and the customer and the controlled substances and my involvement and my witnessing of 7 overdoses per day in a state I worked in. So I believed in the product as a replacement, and
Yeah.
I've heard Anthony over and again. People who replaced 4 controlled substances with a gummy in the evening and won their life back. So that was the belief in the product. But from a career perspective, when I looked at cannabis, if you think of the stakeholders that I worked with in my previous life and now, they're exactly the same.
Mm.
The patient or the customer is the same.
Yeah.
They just walk in a different door. It's the same community citizen. The team member is the same, whether it's the technician in the pharmacy or whether it's the Chick-fil-A employees or whether it's our bud tenders, just a different training. The P&L is the same. It's the same line. It's just a CPG product that
Yeah.
there's the cultivation piece that you add. The government affairs stakeholders, our dear politicians and our lawmakers and our legislators and our regulators are the same. And as a matter of fact, some of the regulators are the same. The Department of Health of Pennsylvania is the same Department of Health that regulates pharmacy. So really,
Interesting.
I am seeing a lot of similarity, and often on calls, on interviews, we talk about the financial performance because it's
Yeah.
extremely important, and that's what earnings call are. But what we don't share enough, and I plan to going forward, is those the focus that I have for the companies, team member first,
Yeah.
and we measure this with turnover and engagement, and we have the lowest. We exited the quarter with the lowest turnover. That's based on the programs that we have implemented. Customers second, because if you don't win with team members, you cannot. They're the face of our brand, facing the customer.
Yeah.
Customer comes with the team member, and then of course the efficiency of the operation. And they are all overarched by a culture of compliance that I'm so proud of.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of examples that really sets us apart from a compliance perspective.
I'm going to dive into the numbers in a minute, but Anthony, you brought up the idea of the 17 years at Walgreens, Ziad. What do you think are the same values that align when it comes to like business operations, for you and Jason to obviously, form and work with each other? Like, what would you say is right now how you guys describe to our viewers and more importantly, just investors in the space, TerrAscend investors, as to what makes you guys click?
Yeah, I think there are two things that Jason and I share in common and has really made that business partnership as successful as it has been. One is we both, as trained pharmacists, we both believe that financials go up and down,
Yeah.
curveballs go in and down. The one thing you can never deviate off is compliance. That's financial compliance, that is HIPAA compliance, that is regulatory compliance. And we just don't settle. We don't negotiate. We have compliance to us. We believe compliance is what breaks companies, not anything else. So that is a common value that we share and we cherish and we put on top of anything we do.
Yeah.
The second part on the business side, uh, I use the word stingy, but if you ask anybody who worked with Jason and I, they describe that we use every penny as it's the last penny we own. I'm
Yeah.
sitting today. I've been here the last 2 nights. I'm sitting in Jason Wild's office in his home, who that is going on the market. Spend 2 nights in there to save to hotel because I don't have to, and there's
Yeah.
an extra room here. So we really deal with our investors' money. We deal with the company money as it's our last penny, and that's the financial discipline that the team sees.
Smart
And
approach, especially
yeah,
more important than ever now, right? With this industry.
agreed.
Let's dive into the numbers. Net revenue increasing of 3.9% sequentially to 72.1 million and 12.7% year over year amid tough retail climate, to say the least. Gross profit margin, to you said, was 50.2% compared to 48.8% in Q1 2023 and 37.5% in Q2 2022, making the company one of the only operators reached now which increased gross margins sequentially year over year. Also want to point out positive operating cash flow was also achieved, which is incredible. So you focus on operations. What do you think, in addition to what you've just said, are the main contributors when it comes to, I guess, pertaining relatively well among your peers in an environment that remains challenging, to say the least?
Yeah, so I think it's a roadmap that we have set 3 or 4 quarters ago, and it has pillars that we continue to be stubborn and continue to execute on. And yes, we are a multi-state operator, but we are the sum of operations in different states that they don't look like, they don't look the same, they
Yeah.
don't behave the same. The challenges are different in some states. Revenue is the biggest opportunity.
Yes.
In another state, the gross margin is the biggest opportunity. In a third state, it's a combination of both with OPEX. So we have identified the strength, the weakness, the opportunity, and the threat in each state. And we have really put an action plan against each one of them that allowed us to collectively increase that gross margin and improve the revenue the way we did. Now, it does not hurt that the lineup of our states is excellent. We've been talking about that for a
Yeah.
while. We've had New Jersey going recreational and it's performing extremely well. We have Maryland that flipped recreational, and then we are extremely happy with it. And then Pennsylvania still sit idle and will come online. Next to that, the biggest opportunity comes the open map that we have in front of us. So we have organic growth that's going to allow us to grow organically in a way that is above where the industry is today, and potential opportunities that will even take us to that next level.
Yeah. And Anthony,
One of the markets that I've been always most interested in is Michigan.
Yeah.
And it looks like Michigan is on the rebound. Judging by the call, I think it was positive. You're seeing prices increase actually in Michigan. And we were running through a BDS report the other day. I think Michigan did 260 million in cannabis sales in June. So I'm assuming that market is starting to stabilize and you're starting to see things trend upwards in that major market. And do you guys consider that a major market within the TerrAscend portfolio?
We do. It's a vital major market for us today and tomorrow. It's an unlimited state market for us. We have currently 19 stores in Michigan, more stores than anywhere else combined. But we have an opportunity to really capture a number one market share through holding in one or two similar deals that we've done with Pinnacle, where you bring in efficient revenue, accretive business that immediately will start contributing with 10% OPEX that is between labor model and store leases. So that model proved to be successful. But what I'm excited about the most in Michigan for us is the same store revenue growth. And that's an area that us as an industry, we need to start focusing on more and more. So I'm super excited about this. The other biggest opportunity, and I said, hey, we will be EBITDA positive at the end of the year in quarter four, is some of the margin improvement that we have in place. And in place like Michigan, you have to be disciplined, not to chase revenue that is a ghost revenue. And there are some decisions. We have the opportunity in Michigan to look under the hood for many operators that the revenue is there, but it is a ghost revenue because it's an empty revenue. The margin in some cases is zero or negative.
Why is that? Why is that, Ziad?
Oh, that's a great question, Chad. I think I'll say that with a lot of respect. Those are companies and operators that are declared legally dead from a business perspective because some of the decisions that they've made, some of the debt that they have on their balance sheet, some of the sales leaseback. So basically, they are in a legal pre-default or they're legally dead from a business perspective.
Michigan's a funny market. Michigan's a really funny market.
Yeah, they're extending the runway through practices like this. So if you're building a company for the long run, if you want to be EBITDA positive, if you want to be build a sustainable business,
right?
You have to avoid those practices, and those will work themselves for those companies.
Well, if you build the right model, right sustainable business within that state, will really grab my attention. Outside of California, revenue-wise, to Anthony's point, the 260 million, biggest performing state in the country outside of California. So were you surprised by some of those numbers? Did you get a chance to see any of it?
Yeah, I get a report from
of course you do.
the monthly that shows the state performance. To me, the state performance is judged by a linear equation. It's what is the market doing overall from a revenue perspective? Is it down? Is it flat? Or is it up?
Yeah.
What is the door count doing in the state? Is it up, down, or flat? And then what is the cultivation that is coming? The cultivation canopy, is it up, down, flat? So anytime you have a market that is outgrowing those two, you have a growth story.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a market that is flat and those two are growing it, then you have a pricing pressure and you have a market share pressure. In Michigan, we are in a place today where the market is growing. The doors are stable. I think there were an addition of only 6 doors in the quarter.
Okay.
And then cultivation is being optimized. A lot of the bigger cultivation has gone offline. So that is the story that you are seeing in
Yep.
Michigan. So as a result, price is stable, low but stable. We'll see the recovery and we'll see how long it continues. But we have to watch that pendulum. Are we going to insert more cultivation? Are
Yeah.
we going to insert
Yeah.
more retail stores? To make yourself bulletproof from that environment, you have to make sure, as a vertical company, that your cultivation and your inventory is used as it's fresh and you don't build it. And we have a great model in there.
Mm-hmm.
You have the brand strategy that is going
Yeah.
to sell itself. And we have that, and then you have the efficient operation. So I feel pretty good about Michigan. Actually,
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that you guys have the strongest brand in the state with Cookies and Gage.
agreed.
I mean, I've walked a lot of those stores. I made 2 investments in Michigan. One was in Gage, the other was in Skymint. They
Yeah,
went two opposite directions.
yeah,
Needless to say. Yeah.
Gage was the home run.
yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
great.
I've been to a lot of those stores. They're great.
How you enjoying yourself being in this space? How long's it been now since you joined the TerrAscend team?
So I joined on January 4th of 2022, but who's counting?
Yeah, so you got a year and a half in.
Yeah, so it's year and a half. It's been great. Like I sleep well every night,
Yeah.
knowing that we left it all on the field, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to get up in the morning. Shad, I have a team that we built here at the TerrAscend that will compete against any executive leadership team, not only in the cannabis industry. I think anywhere in any Fortune 500
Are you
company. That's
serious? That's a pretty
how
bold
proud I
statement.
am.
Wow.
Starting with Lynn, who's our chief legal officer, Keith, who's our chief finance officer, Jerome, who's our chief HR officer, going all the way to marketing. You look at their background; they are a third talent generation where they learned cannabis, but they bring in that Fortune 500 company experience. Putting it together is pretty impressive.
Wow. What did you oversee when you were at Walgreens?
Yeah, so I had a total 3 buckets in my previous career. I would say 6 years each. Operation were around 6 years, where I started as a young pharmacist, had 1 store, went to 20 stores, went to 100 Walgreens, then up to 600 locations, a P&L of around 6 or 7 billion, etc., etc. So that was the operational arm, and have done all the roles in that basket. The second basket, or the second bucket, was around population health and healthcare clinic, and really thinking of the value prop across the chain, and how do you save on your population health. So I oversaw the national presence of all our healthcare clinics. And the third bucket was working on the pharmacy of the future on the global team, and
Yeah.
thinking different segments, different patients, what are their needs, and how do you deal with a GI versus, or a silent generation versus an X, Y, or Z, and that segmentation. So it
Very
was
Well,
different.
fun work.
what's
Very,
nice to
very
see,
different.
it's all about margins. And I did want to know too that your general administrative expenses actually lowered 7.29% year over year, despite the big pickup in revenue and overall performance. And that is what investors like to see: revenue being picked up, costs, being cut. But I will say, like, most analysts look for stuff that's just in line when it comes to Q2 earnings. But there's been a positive momentum right now and a major shift, I would say, towards this company over the past 60 days, maybe even a little bit longer. But I think a lot of people are optimistic, and I'm assuming you feel the same way amongst you and your team heading into the back end of 20. Well, here we are already almost in September, so it's not really the back
Yeah.
end of 2023.
Yeah, we do, and we celebrate it. And it's not an emotional win; it's a concrete, data-driven win that, based on metrics and KPIs that we have set.
Yeah.
We explained the why. We measured what they'll bring to us. Hey, I'll give you a small example that doesn't show on a P&L, Shad. Turnover in cannabis is high, and it's high for the right
Very.
reasons.
Yeah.
Because it's high because the punitive codes. It's high because of our regulators. It's high because of our legislators. It's high because we still have people in jail for
I
just for
know. I know.
unfair reasons. It's
Yeah.
it's 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 unfair. So turnover is high. So just we work on engagement, we work on turnover, and the cost per turnover, if you ask any HR specialist, is around $6,000 to $7,000 per one turnover. So when you calculate the improvement that we've done, the team was able to save around 2.5 million in cost
Yeah.
of turnover. That doesn't show on the P&L, but you
Yeah.
know where it shows? It shows in execution, it shows on stubbornness with KPIs, and it shows in return on the projects that you work on.
Yep. And we are now in an era of execution is front and center. We were talking about this
Yeah.
last night in the spaces about how headlines, people get caught up in headlines right now. And I'm like, if you focus on execution now, the headlines that you are seeing now will be much bigger later on down the road. And that's the reality. But, it's just about educating and managing. But tell Jason and the crew, obviously, congrats. Great work. Great operations standpoint. I'm not sure. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna kind of close it out with: are there any markets that you're looking at? Are there any markets that the TerrAscend execs are like evaluating right now,
Yeah.
from like an expansionary perspective? I mean, obviously Maryland is all the talk right now. It's been on everyone's earnings reports. I know that you guys are the dominant player in that market. Are there any ones that you're looking forward to from like now until the end of the year, from an evaluation perspective?
Yeah, quickly, we shared it on the call. We look at M&A in three spaces, going deeper in states that we are in. That's Michigan, that is New Jersey with what we shared. Expansion of states, we think of it as Michigan, east and up and down the coast.
Yep.
And but the best part is we have organic growth that is built in the state that we have, so we don't have to make any deal, and we have 8 to 12 quarters of arguably the highest organic growth in the industry. So that keeps us disciplined to, hey, we
Mhm.
talked about, we're looking at so
Yeah.
many different opportunities. If they make sense, if they're accretive, we have few filters. If they check all of them, then we get very serious quickly about it.
It's great. Organic
Awesome.
growth. You don't hear that too often right now, but you know what? Congrats again. But let's keep in touch. And again, tell the team we say hi and keep up the great work.
Will
Thank you very
do. Have
much.
a great day.
Thanks, Ziad.
Thanks.
Yep. Cheers.
Bye.
So what'd you all think of the interview? Did you like what we recorded with our guests? Then leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of it. And if there's any more questions you want us to ask, as usual, share this video with your network, click on that bell for all notifications, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel because we would not be here without you. Thanks for watching, everyone.